Welcome back to the Hometown Business Podcast. I am here with David Clemens. He is the editor and publisher of the Walton Tribune. So I was super excited when you agreed to be on the show because this is so neat. It's like celebrity almost. I see you all over online a lot, I follow the Walton Tribune and I see you responding to people and stuff. So it's like meeting you in person is, like I said, celebrity sighting kind of.
That's going to be very disappointing for you, but I appreciate you having me here.
Well, thank you. No problem. Well, I'll just get right into it. How did you get started in journalism?
It's just something I've always wanted to do since I was very young. This is something that just always appealed to me for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know if my parents didn't tell me they loved me enough or something. I really don't know. But I started in high school I think I was a junior. I started calling in the results of games, our high school football games, to the Gadsden Times. I grew up in Northeast Alabama, so there was a guy who went to church with us and knew kind of I had this interest, and he got me set up to cover the games, keep the stats, and I thought it was just the absolute most important thing.
Yeah.
It was right up there with the White House beat for the Washington Post, and so I was covering the games, and from there met the sports editor of the local paper in my hometown, and he actually, after a couple of weeks, let me actually write the game story instead of just calling back the stats to the office. And I wrote such a long and laborious story about the game, and I don't think I even talked to anybody. I think I just wrote every single play that happened. But from there, there is a very powerful drug of having your name in the paper over your own story. So from there, it just kind of went on.
You were addicted.
Yes.
What brought you here?
So that paper in 1999 was purchased by a company called Southern Newspapers, which is based in Houston. And at the time, Southern Newspapers owned the Walton Tribune. And so after college and after a couple years after that, I came back to the Sand Mountain Reporter in my hometown of Albertville, Alabama, as managing editor. And I did that for 3 years. And then was very fortunate to have the opportunity in 2009 to come here as the publisher of the Tribune, and was here for 2 years, and then Southern took me to Fort Payne, Alabama to publish the Times Journal, and then was there for about 4 years and came back in 2015 as managing editor here.
Okay. Fort Payne, Alabama. I had a friend in college who went there. That's where, what was that movie? Friday Night Lights? Was that from Fort Payne, Alabama?
It's not. Fort Payne is best known for the band Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Also where your socks used to be made before all those jobs went overseas.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he wasn't at Fort Payne. I thought he was, and he would recognize the guys in the show. I don't know. I'm totally confusing the story now, and I've gotten off track. But anyways, okay. So the Walton Tribune. I was reading on the website, and you told me a little bit that it's been around for over 100 years.
Right.
Do you know the history? Can you share the history of it?
It was founded in 1900 by some investors, I think some local, some more out of town. I think one went on to become the Attorney General of Georgia. But they hired, I believe it was 1905 or 6, they hired a man named Ernest Kemp. Mm-hmm. He was 25 years old and a native of Swainsboro, and by the time a year had gone by, he had amassed enough stock to own the paper, and his family owned the paper from then until the mid-70s.
Okay.
So the Camp family, they still live around here. His grandson, they're still very well known here. But it became pretty quickly one of the greatest small newspapers in Georgia, very well known for what it does, the way it covered the community. So it's got a very, very good track record. The Camp family sold it in the late 70s. Southern Newspapers bought it, I believe, in 83. And then in 2014, Patrick Graham, who had been the publisher here before I was, ended up, he came back and bought the paper. He and I were both Southern newspaper alumni, and he came back and bought the paper, loved the community, and had the opportunity to own his own newspaper for the first time. And he came back and bought it and put it back in local control, moved his family back here. So put the paper back in local hands. He always loves to say within a year moved the paper back to the corner there by the old courthouse. So he loves to say it's the local papers by the local courthouse where God intended it to be. And so it's just really neat and kind of rare this day and age. We've had a lot of corporate takeovers and consolidations, so that Walton County still has a locally owned newspaper.
Yeah, I mean, Walton County is such like having a business here in just, Monroe is, that's not usual, I don't think, at least. It's very charming, I guess.
It really is. Like, there is not any other place I'd like to live. It's just, there's so much good happening here right now.
Yeah. That's neat. So I'm intrigued by all businesses, or asking all businesses right now, like, how did the pandemic affect you?
It was like unlike anything I've ever done before. I mean, we've covered big stories in my career where, you've been through a natural disaster, a tornado or something like that, especially, in Alabama, you have tornadoes pretty much all the time. But this was just so all-encompassing and for such a long time. And it was really gratifying in one way, which was the way that people turned to us for information. Our readership numbers, you may have had a spike where there was a story with a lot of interest, but in terms of sustained readership, there was never anything like that. And I felt really gratified, really honored that people turned to us, because there was nobody else that was able to devote the kind of resources that we did to covering how this affected every aspect of life. Because as you think about it, it did every aspect, your health, if you had kids, how they were educated, how your business was going to be affected, where you could eat, what you could do on the weekends. Everything was affected, and we tried to cover that, and it was just very constant, the number of stories that we put online. And a lot of that we put up at no charge to readers, whether they subscribed or not. They were up without needing a subscription. We had just rolled out our new website about a month, maybe not even that, before it really hit home. And so we continued to make that free for everybody to read. And it just really, it was very rewarding to be able to kind of connect people that way. At the same time, I never want to do anything like that again.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I followed along very carefully, because y'all would share the numbers each day, and I mean, that was a big deal. It's crazy to look back and think that happened. I feel like we're on the other side. Hopefully we are. I don't know. But that's crazy. So, when I think of, for instance, during COVID, the mainstream media was, I think, very different than what you guys who were actually sharing facts, and you were actually in our community. If I was watching the news on TV in the evening, that could be very disheartening. But you guys were in our community and sharing what was actually happening here. So what do you think the difference is between what we see on the mainstream media and what local journalism is?
Right. I think a big difference is, like you said, we're in the community. So, I go to church with these people who read us, and so they don't mind telling me, they like what we did, or they think I'm an idiot. People love to tell me that they think I'm an idiot. But also, that accountability to people, we have to answer for that. We're not just sitting somewhere in Atlanta or in New York or Washington.
Right.
We know the people that our audience is. They, I think half of Walton County has my cell phone number. They don't mind calling or texting and telling me what they think, or asking me questions, or whatever the case may be. And I also, and this probably goes down a rabbit trail, but the idea of the media as a faceless entity, I think it's so fractured now that people have their own biases, their own, we can find, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, there's somebody that's speaking to you. And so you can find someone that confirms whatever your opinion is, and then if they believe that, then some other news organization elsewhere on the spectrum is therefore wrong. And so and I get that. That's a scary place for our democracy, and that's another podcast for another day. But we try very hard to bring everybody together and just sort of report what's going on in our community. And you do have to, there are a lot of national type issues that you have to localize and balance all of that, and that is difficult. But when people do try to lump us in with the media, we always do try to fight back about that a little bit and say, look, we're local people, we're trying to just report the facts, and if you think the facts aren't wrong, let us know, and we'll either tell you why we think they're right, or go look and see where we might be wrong, and try to get it right.
It's kind of like the difference in government overall. Like government, there's big government, and then there's local government, and it's a very different thing. So how do you serve a community when people, especially now because of social media, which I want to know your thoughts on how social media has changed journalism, but how do you serve in a community where people are so quick to attack just because they can do it so easily?
Antidepressants. You just have to have a thick skin, I think, but also, for one, kind of consider the source, which is that people have their, like I said, their own biases. You have to be able, be prepared to, if somebody's saying something that is not accurate, be prepared to come with the facts. And again, if your facts are wrong, be ready to listen. I think one thing that we don't do enough as people is consider, what if that person's right? But you have to, be quick to respond, and if people get out of hand, be quick with the block button.
Just don't have time for that.
Absolutely, life is much too short.
So what are your thoughts overall on like how social media has changed what you do?
It's changed so much, because there was a time that a newspaper like ours that comes out twice a week, you would publish the news twice a week. You just something broke, if something happened today on, we're recording this on Wednesday morning, and wouldn't come out again until the weekend, we would just have to just be frustrated about that. And now we would publish it immediately to our website and push that on Facebook and push that on Twitter, and somebody do a TikTok dance about it or whatever the answer is. So it's made newspapers like ours a true 24/7 news organization. That's good and bad. That rush for immediacy, it gets news out there quickly, but it also creates this hunger that people have. They want to know things immediately, and that can feed, that the quicker you are, the more chance there is for error. There was something kind of nice about being able to take your time with a story. And so you kind of have to balance that. You have to try to find a way to, do stories for print that are more detailed and more analytical maybe, versus what goes on online is more just kind of straight facts. Here's what's happening. Here's what we know right now. And kind of updated constantly. So it definitely changes our workflow compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago.
I know, like if I see a wreck, like within hours, I can go online and find out exactly what happened or whatever.
Right.
And I notice a lot of times it does get updated as more facts come in. But gosh, that sounds really hard.
It is. It's a big time suck for sure.
Yeah. Do y'all have a big team at the Tribune?
I think it's 12 or 13 employees now. 3 in the editorial, plus me.
Yeah.
So it could certainly be bigger, but I think we do a pretty good job covering the county. For what we have. They're all pretty experienced, so that really helps.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate for a paper our size to have the kind of experience that we do.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm a fan. I follow.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I must follow a lot because you pop up on my newsfeed, so the algorithm.
That's good.
The algorithm knows I like you. All right, well, I always like to end with a lightning round. And I told you couldn't look at these questions.
Right.
So, okay, you seem like a podcast listener.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. What's your favorite podcast?
There are so many. I always go to This American Life. Currently listening to the Dallop.
The Dallop.
You know, familiar with that one?
Nope.
It's 2 guys telling stories about history.
Okay.
But definitely your younger listeners may not want to listen to that one. It's got a little edge to it, but it's very funny. And please give me a true crime podcast. There's now even a Dateline one that's just episodes of Dateline.
Right.
So, yeah, just give me a good murder.
I've not gotten into those yet.
Yeah.
One of the girls on my team listens to them, but she doesn't have her earbuds in, and I'll walk in to like check up on them. I'm like, Brianna, what are you listening to?
Walk in, somebody's getting stabbed.
Yeah. Like,
that's a good
freak
stuff.
out our homeowners.
Sure.
Well, that's good. I like This American Life. I haven't listened to it in a few seasons, I don't think. What season are they on now?
Oh, gosh. They've been doing it, I want to say 20 years or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then I've listened to like 3 of them. But I'll have to listen to the Dallop. I like history. Makes me think, do you ever watch Drunk History?
I have,
watch it, but I see the commercials and it's funny.
Sure.
that makes me think what that might be like. Okay, no, where do you live? You live in Monroe?
Yeah, I live just outside the city limits.
Okay, so what is your favorite restaurant to go to? It doesn't have to be in Monroe, but most people share Monroe.
Sure. Oh, goodness. I was a big fan of Amici before they moved, and I haven't been able to get in yet. I'm a big fan of Smitty's. Smitty's. It's in the gas station on East Church Street. It's got some pretty strong wings. I would definitely recommend those. Cupcakes or treats at Blue Rooster.
Those are good.
Yeah. Need to do fewer of those, but here we are. LR Burger will, I don't know. You probably the better question would be which do I don't.
Right. I mean.
But that's not positive.
Yeah. Well, Smitty's is good because I've not even heard of that place.
You gotta do Smitty's.
That's good. I like when we get new places.
What kind of wings?
What was that?
What kind of wings do you like?
I mean, I can take hot. Like, I'm really, I just like wings. We actually had wings for dinner last night.
Yeah, the honey hot is
honey hot. Okay.
Very good.
Good to know. Yeah, this is going to be taboo, but we just get them from Publix a lot. So I'll have to
respect.
Try that.
Well, we got the new Publix coming.
I know. I'm so excited. I actually live in Loganville, so I have a Publix, but I'm excited. All this new stuff, I'm like, we're going to end up moving out here. I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Here come the pub subs.
Okay, so is there anything else that I should have asked, but I didn't?
You know, that's a great question. That's how I always try to end interviews. Just that we really appreciate our readers, and especially those who support us because, you know, like anyone else, we're a small business. And I think people forget about that because we've been here for so very long. But we're like any other business. We got to have money in the cigar box at the end of the month, just like you or anyone else. So we appreciate the people who subscribe. We appreciate the people who advertise with us. The advertising is a huge part of what we do. We try to offer a variety of ways to help people get folks in their stores. And we'd love to certainly talk to anyone about how we can do that for them. But we've got magazines, we've got the newspaper, we've got the website, we have our social media things, and we're always looking for creative ways because people will tell you, well, print's dying, nobody reads the paper, which one is completely not true. I had somebody just this morning text me about wanting to get a keepsake of the front page. But also what people really want is the content, and there's more of an appetite for good content, especially vetted, reliable news coverage than I think there ever has been. And so we're going to continue to provide that no matter where the reader is, whether they're wanting it in the paper, in the mailbox to read over their, with their coffee, or they want it on their smartphone or a tablet or a laptop, or again through a text update on their watch or whatever it is. We're aiming to provide that. So by doing that, we're going to continue to be successful for the next 120 years. Yeah.
Now, if a business wanted to advertise with you, how do they get in touch?
Call me at 770-267-2492.
Okay.
And we will certainly work with you on any kind of budget, any kind of creative plan you want to do. We can do about anything, any budget. Because honestly, I love working with people on trying to get them something that's a little different. And we have magazines we've got coming up, the Gridiron Guide magazine. We kick off the football season in just a few weeks, honestly, if you can believe it. So we've got the big preview magazine coming out for that. Our newcomers guide to reach people who are new to the community, and my gosh, there are so many people new to the community. That's a place you want to be in. So there's so much more than just being in the newspaper, and we're certainly glad to work with anybody on that.
I advertised in the senior edition you guys did probably a couple months ago. And it was so seamless. Like, you had somebody on staff, Emily, I believe. And
so the graduation magazine?
And she put together the ad for me, and I just tweaked it a little bit, and I mean, it was so easy.
And that's something that I think is a secret that I don't think we tell people enough about, is that we provide those design services for you. You don't have to have the creative already done. You don't have to try to build it yourself. We take care of that for you, and then we give you the ad. So if you want to go run it somewhere else or put it on your website or whatever, have at it.
Yeah, she was phenomenal. She had done research. She had gone to my website and looked at some of the things. She knew my target audience. It was good. It was very impressive.
Awesome.
So if you are listeing and you own a business, you should definitely reach out to the Walton Tribune.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, it was a good experience. So, well, I appreciate you coming on. Anything else you need to share? Obviously, we know we can find you at the Walton Tribune.
121 South Broad Street, WaltonTribune.com, at Walton Tribune on Twitter, at Scoop Clemens is my Twitter. So certainly love to connect with you wherever you are.
Yeah, get on, communicate, share, all that fun stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good deal. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We will be back in a couple days probably with a new podcast. So remember to subscribe, share, all the good stuff. See you later. Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Get It Together Cleaning Services. We give you back your free time by taking cleaning off your to-do list. You can find us online at www.gitcleaning.com or message us on Facebook. Our handle there is @GIT Cleaning. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this interview and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We have more great interviews lined up in the coming weeks.